How do you explain like someone going from like literally doing 2K a month to like nearly like just under 100K a month?
I think the people who have the most success are the people who are humble, willing to take action, and just literally follow the roadmap that's in front of them laid out by agency.
What's crazy is like we've gotten people in like 1 week that get like their return on their investment.
What do you think overall agencies struggle with to get the 10K or that 10K mark?
They just basically say like, yeah, I don't want to be salesy, I don't want to be pushy.
Never did anything with it. And then a year later, they were like, hey, just let me know your renewal's up and you want to pay another $30,000.
Yeah, that was like 2021, dude.
Yeah, I remember I started Agency U while I was going Strategic because I reached out to a coach, or a coach reached out to me. I was like, dude, you should start coaching, da da da. And I was like, no, I don't really want to do that because I'm doing Strategic. And then I slowly started to do the coaching, and then I was running ads, and then you responded to an ad, and then you're like, hey, send me these email templates or whatever I was thinking I was doing. And then we connected actually. And then I like paused Agency U just because I was chasing two rabbits, and you just cannot chase two rabbits. And then we got on a call and you're like, dude, showing me all the sales stuff. And I was like, dude, this is legit. And then I stopped Agency U. I was like, okay, I need to focus on Strategic. I'm going to build up the sales team, all that sort of stuff from what you teach me. Actually paid him to help me out, believe it or not. And then
cold email, instantly stuff,
And then probably like 6 months later, I was like, all right, I'm going to start back up Agency U. Like, you're a really good coach.
No, that was like a year later.
Yeah.
And I was in Brazil.
Oh, really?
That's when we like first connected. Yeah. And I was like in 2021.
I was like, okay, I'm gonna start this up, but I don't want to do it alone. And I think you're really good at sales. Like, we should do it together.
Yeah.
Because I know that 1 + 1 does not equal 2. And then you're like, yeah, bro, I'm down. And then you flew from Medellin to.
That was already to Strategic Studio.
Yeah, and you came to the studio.
That was already like part of my plan too. It was like, I'd always wanted to be a coach. It was like fulfilling. It's like, what I wanted to do. So it was like always like it was part of my game plan. But then when you brought it up, I was like, it was just something that felt good. It was just like, man, like your intuition just hits. You're like, fuck. And I knew you were like super solid. Like, you showed me all your stuff. I was like super impressed. Like the stuff that you showed me with like the client success stuff that you're doing. What was that one thing? Like, what was it that you said? Like the expectations, the thing you always say.
Frustrations that unmet
expectations. I was like, dang, like fucking Austin knows a lot of stuff. Like, dang. Yeah. So then, we just, I think we like, over the year, we just like linked up, brought you onto my Facebook group too to talk to the mortgage broker. We did like a podcast type of thing. Yeah, and then like December, you brought it up, and I was like, man, like I was a little bit nervous about it, and I was like, like this feels good though. Like this is like the next step, and that's when it started. Was it January 2023?
Yeah. Wild.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, like literally a year and a half.
Yeah. The good thing is like we complement each other super well. Yeah. Like, you're super good at sales. You know way more about sales than I could ever begin to imagine, nor do I have any interest in learning it. And I'm okay at like the system stuff.
Dude, I like Austin can get done in like 1 hour what takes me like 10 hours, dude. Seriously. Yeah. We have systems in my agency, but it's like not the stuff that like Austin does. It's like way more advanced. So yeah, it's super good partnership.
Yeah, I think like, I mean, I've been in so many coaching programs.
Yeah, same.
And there's a lot of different options out there. And every time that I join, I feel super overwhelmed when I join. Yeah. And then I feel really confused on where to start, where to go. And then the support can be really challenging to get. And I think what we've learned and we both agreed on is like, cool, how are we actually going to set up the agencies for success when they join? And that's through access, that's through simplicity, that's through processes, that's through a roadmap. And what we've really tried to do is to really have everything possible for these agencies to succeed. I mean, 100% of the agencies that actually follow the plan and take action are having massive success. And I think the key is the accessibility, like the Slack, the one-to-ones, all that sort of stuff. Because that's how you actually get results. Like they could just watch YouTube if they really.
But it's also like everything else that we had, because like there's not just like system stuff like in there, like the agency operating system, which is there. But it's like client acquisition, even mindset. Like we have Julian, who's like who I went to for coaching on that stuff, and like we have like every single part. Because like someone could have like the best systems in the world, but they suck at client acquisition, or they have all the client acquisition, but they don't have like systems, or like they have all that stuff off, but like literally they can't even like manage themselves.
For sure. Yeah, it's full circle. It's not just, okay, we're gonna get you a bunch of leads or we're gonna plug in a bunch of systems. It's, hey, we wanna help you grow your business actually like a CEO, and you need all of these different pillars in order to do it. It's like, and then we're also gonna give you 7 group calls. We're gonna create a Slack channel and get 4 people in the Slack channel. We're gonna give you access to one-to-ones, and you're gonna have unlimited access to us. We're gonna drop you a system that you can plug in, and we'll actually build it for you. And we'll give you closers and centers, and we'll give you a team of editors. It's like, dude, you have everything.
Yeah, I think it's also helpful that like most of the team is like agency owners. Like we have Matt, we have like Anthony also who had like an agency. Eric, who's our setter, who like also had an agency. Like Rohel, like technically like agency as well. It's like it's like literally like our slogan, like built like something built for agency owners by agency owners.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's the team that makes it so freaking good too. Like it's not a me or a you thing, it's the people that we have.
Yeah, absolutely. I think like ideal fit is like those freelancer, like the ones who get to like 10K a month, it's like they've gotten to a point where they've already started the agency, they're established, and then they literally just cap out because it's like 10 to 15K a month. I see this like consistently, just like when talking to people who are like considering joining Agency U, it's like 10 to 15K a month is like usually where they cap out because it's like they need more leverage, which means systems, or like they need a team. And like they need another skill set of like client acquisition. Because like every single one of them are doing like relying on referrals and word of mouth, and it's just them doing everything. But if we can have like a system for like getting clients, being able to convert them and sell them, plus the systems and team, like that's where like someone goes from like 10 to 15K a month to like 20 to 30K a month.
Yeah, I think the perfect people that I like to work with are people who are so used to, like, they built their business because they're really talented and they have a skill set and they've been able to get some clients using their skill set. But then there comes a point, like what you just said, where you need more leverage, you need to find people, you need systems, all that sort of stuff, and you need to hire a team, you need the systems in place and actually build your business like a CEO and transfer from being like a glorified freelancer to an actual CEO to a business owner, which comes with a mindset shift, which comes with systems and all that sort of stuff, which I love training on that stuff because that's what's helped me so much. Is just like learning what a business even is.
Yeah.
Going from like I'm an operator to an actual orchestrator of a team in a business.
That's why I like this event too. Like every transformational like thing that I've had in my agency like literally came from like an event. Like first event is like when I like decided to like go in there and like take the leap from like my job to like starting the agency, like I told you in like the car. And then like even when I moved to like when I took my first flight as a digital nomad, it was like because of like an event. I was just like felt inspired from like seeing other people doing it. So it's like that element too of like Agency U I think is super transformational. Just adds to the transformation. I think for me like one that I can specifically remember is like when I onboarded with them. So like I signed up and then I got onboarded with them and it was like a VA that like onboarded me, which isn't like, it's not like a complete like anything bad, but I was just like, all right, let's see how this goes. And then I just like got access to group calls and like the person that was like kind of like the main head, like there was no one-on-ones, like nothing that I had access to. It was just kind of like threw me the videos, which the videos were like recorded group calls. So it was just like, and that was it. There was nothing else. And I was just like, just so bummed. It was 15K too. So I was just like, man, like I didn't like, I got some stuff from it. And like, you know, I definitely could have like 100% like done more, but like, yeah, that was like left a bad taste in my mouth. I know like Austin, you've had like a similar experience.
I mean, I don't want to
from a certain
or anybody that
person
be watching this, but I'll try to explain it vaguely. Yeah, I mean, multi-5-figure investment. So it was not cheap whatsoever. Signed up, got all these auto emails for a bunch of random logins in different areas.
Yeah, that's happened to me too.
Open
like
the course.
ClickFunnels, go high level.
Open the course, saw hundreds of modules of just recorded calls. Yeah. And this was after like being promised like the world and like personal onboarding, all that sort of stuff. Yeah. And then, I mean, then that was pretty much it. And then I was like, I have no idea. And I jumped on some like group calls and I felt like I was not in like, I wasn't like invited there. And then it was also like a bunch of noobs because we were like doing $200,000 a month at that point. And it was like the questions that people were asking were not like really relevant for me. And I also felt like I was inconveniencing the person that I was talking to, but I tried the system and like, sure, maybe I've gained 1 or 2 things that paid for itself, but I'm just like the experience overall just felt kind of like gross, you know? And then we never touched anything, like we never did anything with it. And then a year later, they were like, when we were about to renew, they're like, hey, just letting you know your renewal is up and do you want to pay another $30,000? And I was like, absolutely not. Do not touch that card whatsoever. So it was just like, we never responded for like 9 months, and then they had the audacity to be like, oh, like a Facebook message and said, hey, your time.
There wasn't a CSM that hit you up or anything?
No, never.
I think Luis is a really good one. He was like coming in. I think he actually didn't have any clients. Like he worked at an agency, And then he came to us and he was like, yeah, like I want to start my agency, but like this time I want to do it right. He like had 0 clients, and like the biggest thing with him was like mindset issues, because he was like, yeah, like I don't know if I could charge these prices, or I don't know if I could do this and that. And like the first call was like literally just me and him like going deep on like just mindset stuff, so he could like actually have the confidence to like pitch his stuff on like to his past clients and stuff. Yeah, and that was like, when did we bring him on? Like no, January, February time. And yeah, he went from like literally like starting his brand new agency to now he's like, I think the most recent one was like 8K a month, and like I think he's gotten up to like 10K or something like that, 10K a month.
Yeah. What were the specific mindset things that you worked on with him, and like what do you think overall agencies struggle with at that, to get the 10K or at that 10K mark?
I think it was just like the conviction in himself, like the trust in himself to like actually execute, because he went from having a job, which was like he was like in the employee mindset, and then he went into like just completely like being like self-sufficient. So he was like kind of struggling with like, yeah, I don't know if like I could do this kind of thing, like the normal stuff that like someone who's like going from like not having an agency and like in a job to like transitioning. So it was that. And then like the sales stuff too. Like he had like major kind of limiting beliefs with like the sales stuff, which I think like a lot of people do too. It's like,
hit on that. What's
I don't
the
want to
sales
be,
stuff?
yeah, like I don't want to be too pushy.
What's the spin on that?
What do you mean the spin?
The spin, situation, problem, implication.
What do you mean, like
what's the situation that most people don't want to be pushy?
Yeah. They just basically say like, yeah, I don't want to be salesy, I don't want to be pushy. But it's like most people just feel that way because they don't have like any sort of like process. Like they think that like sales is like, you go on Wolf of Wall Street and you watch that and you think like that's sales.
Cool.
And that's like that's not sales like at all. That's like, yeah, something completely like different. Maybe like in the 80s they sold that way. I don't know. Or maybe that's just an exaggeration from Hollywood. But like that's where a lot of people come in, and like the problem with that is like it's just like not conducive to like 2000s or whatever. Yeah, and like if people don't get it right, like oftentimes they just hop on the calls. And like I've seen the call reviews. I had one like this week where it's just like, yeah, like the people like they come in like ready to go from the authority funnel because they go through your content, and then they're like, they don't know what to do at the end. They're like, yeah, like cool. So I'll just send you an email like after this, and then we could get started. And then people just like ghost them. So yeah, you need like the structure. A lot of people think that you can just wing it, or that it's gonna be like referrals. I think that's probably one of the biggest things. Is like people
What's
like
the problem with referrals?
Yeah, they're closing like 80% of people that come from referrals, but then like when they get into a sales call, it's like a different thing. It's like they're surprised that like, oh, why didn't I close this person?
So what's like what do they need to be doing?
Easiest thing is honestly just like the sales framework, like having like the thing that we teach inside of Agency U, like situational awareness, problem awareness, solution awareness, consequence, pitch, and then objection handle. That's like, if people just like went through that specific thing, like that's 90% of like just fixing any issue that you have. Because like I listen to the call reviews and they're like, did you go through the framework? I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, like go through the framework. So when people go through the framework, that's literally, that structure is like just proven to work.
I mean, we've worked with over 200 agencies.
Yeah, over 200.
And I think the people who have the most success are the people who are humble, willing to take action, and just literally follow the roadmap that's in front of them laid out by Agency U. And when people divert from that, when people have lack of confidence, when people try to, when they veer away from the path that we've laid out from them, and they're avoiding action for whatever reason it could be, that's where you see people like not have success inside of the program. Yeah. I think of Josh Jung, for example. Like he came in and he is an academic, it seems like. I feel like that's like what his background is. And he literally put his blinders on and just followed the roadmap step by step by step. I didn't really hear from him. And then 2 weeks later, he's like, oh yeah, we've doubled our business. Like we got a bunch of systems in place. And I'm like, weird. You just took action on what's in front of you and what we've been teaching you. And that's how you have success in something like an Agency U and whatnot. And I think the people who just put their heads down and just follow the plan and like just do what's out in front of them and take massive action and don't worry about or like question everything. Those are the ones that are.
I think it's like a characteristical thing, like more than like their revenue level or something like that. It's like a characteristic kind of thing. Because like if they're like, they come in, like you said, like just take massive action, and like they actually like, if they don't see like success at first from like the very first go, like they tap in with us, like they communicate with us, like those are the ones that like get the best results. Because it really is just that, like there's the proven like roadmap that we've laid out, and like the people that get like results fast, it's like they take an extreme amount of action, like a bias towards action, and then they just go in, and if they don't get the result, like they come back to us like, hey, this didn't work, and then they just take like ridiculous amount of action.
That's exactly
like,
what the Josh
Dylan,
was.
like, how do you explain like someone going from like literally like doing 2K a month to like nearly like just under 100K a month? It's like an extreme amount of action being taken in the right direction.
Yeah, I mean, Matt was just on a one-to-one. He was telling me that he's like, oh yeah, Jalen, he just closed a deal, and he's been in the program for what, 3 weeks now, and he's like, he was telling me how Jalen was like, oh yeah, I just like did the momentum campaign and closed 2 deals from it. And that's what we were saying. We're like, weird how that works. Like you just have to take action and just copy the framework and not question everything and doubt yourself and just do it and follow the plan and you'll have success. But yeah, I mean, Dylan's pretty wild. I mean, I remember our first call, he was like, dude, I'm binge watching YouTube videos. I'm spending all this time. I'm questioning myself. He was overwhelmed doing $2,000 a month, about to exit the Marines, like stressed out. He's like, dude, should I just get a job? Should I just do this? I'm like, no, here's exactly what you should be doing. And then now he's at what, 60 to 80K a month? Yeah. Just from just action.
Yeah, I mean, Mike Garrett as well. Mike and Zach, same thing. What did they come in? Like, we were like at 10K a month. We brought them on in November. And like now they're at like, again, 60K a month. It's like same thing too. It's like, I think even if like you don't have like fully, like you're fully confident in yourself, like if you just like come in and borrow confidence, like from us, from like Matt, from like you, from me, and it's just like, dude, just like blindly trust that like this is gonna work. Like that's why you're here. Just do it. Like trust us on that. Don't doubt it. And then like that's where the confidence comes. You're like you start to see the results, and then it tells your brain that's like, all right, like this actually, like this can work for me. Yeah. What's crazy is like I think Matt's had like in like we've gotten people in like 1 week that get like their return on their investment like right back. But I think the average is like 3 to 4 weeks, and it's like literally just from like taking advantage of all the things, like the little like gold mine that is already like in their database of like old clients, like past leads. That's what we did with my agency, and it's like you just go in and like find where are those opportunities. They're already there after you like switch the offer, and then it just like it works quickly. Especially if you have like a price point that's like, I don't know, 2K a month, 3K a month, like make your investment back in like, you know, a couple of deals.
Yeah, we had a real estate agency who had a big database of real estate agents, and I was like, cool, we're gonna do a momentum campaign for you so that we can sell the offer that we just spent the last week or two building out, and you feel really confident, you have capacity to do this, let's freaking do it. So we got all of his contacts, we put him into Go High Level, and we did a text blast to like 30 people, and he ended up booking 12 calls and closing 3 clients from it. Literally in recurring revenue.
Yeah.
Just from a campaign.
So how much was that in contracted revenue?
Probably 30 to 40,000 over the course of the 4 to 6 months or however long his offer is. But he was like overwhelmed like really fast, which is good because then the next problem happens. Systems, and then you solve the next problem. It's like once you get leads, then you can solve the problem that comes from the abundance of leads.
I think that's also like the value of like long-term mentorship, because it's like at higher levels, like you're always gonna have like a certain problem, right? If you're like 0 to 10K a month, like your problem is like you don't have a productized offer, you don't yet have like a consistent system of getting like leads, and then like once you get past like 20K a month, then you need like someone to help you with like the client calls, with fulfillment, and then 50K a month, you need someone to like take over the sales calls. So it's like at each step, like you have either a lead gen related problem or like a systems related problem. It's like you have like, you know, kind of like a one-stop shop to get help with either of those. How much shit like Austin gets done in like a day? It's fucking crazy, dude.
I really don't think it is that crazy.
No, dude, like you built out like a freaking like, especially in the beginning where there was like more building to be done. You just like
the whole OS was like
I was like, yeah, this might take like a week or whatever. 1 day later, like it's done. I think that was something that like positively like really surprised me.
Yeah, I would say like when you get into a business partnership, it can feel like really nerve-wracking, and oftentimes there's like always something to complain about, or this person didn't do this, or this person didn't do that, and like we've never really like had anything because I think we've been through like the maturing of business partnerships maybe, or just like working with people for so long that we communicate really well, and if there's anything that like makes me mad, I don't feel weird bringing it up to you, and vice versa. And also just really appreciate your like follow through, and like you always do what you say you're gonna do, and like you work really hard, and like you're always like keeping up the slack. And I think that's another thing with like business partnerships is like sometimes it can feel one-sided. I hear that a ton, and that's something I really appreciate.
Yeah. So appreciate you, bro. So I'd never been in like a business partner. You had kind of like you have like kind of like a sort of like set up like
and I've
ours.
seen so many, and I've talked to so
Yeah,
many people.
a lot of
don't do
nightmare
it.
stories. Like when Austin brought it up, I was like, I don't know. I mean, being like a single owner, it's like, oh, like the first thing that comes to mind is like, all right, I'm gonna have to split the profits.
Yeah.
But then like I wasn't thinking, it's like, dude, I'm gonna like, we're gonna be going like so much farther, like so much faster. Like this, like we only just started like the ads, like what was it in like June?
Yeah.
And that was like, yeah, I mean, we had like what, like 3 people in agency.
Yeah.
And then like a year later, a little bit over a year later, we're like at 200 agencies. Like, I certainly could not have done that.
Yeah.
Anywhere close to that.
Yeah,
totally. Like
1 + 1 does not equal 2. It equals 4 if it's the right partnership.
Yeah.
And if you guys complement each other. I think so many agencies and just people in general are always like, oh, I'm going to bring on this partner. And then it's like, but they have the same skill sets and they think that it's going to solve for everything. And they've never done a business too. And I think that's another good thing is like you've had a business, so you understand it.
I think we're also on like the same wavelength too. It's like, I think we like, sometimes you'll bring up an idea before I bring it up, and I'm like, I've been thinking about it. Or like you'll text me, I was like, dude, I was like literally just thinking that. So it's like that, like being in sync like that is just like super important. So I don't know. I feel like I got super fucking lucky with like a business partner, because this like totally could have like gone to shit, but like it's been going like really great so far. So
I feel super lucky for the team, dude.
Well, for me, like being in like, I think naturally just immigrants have like they come naturally, like you're in a family where it's like it's instilled in you like the idea of like hard work, and it's like, yeah, you just like come with that. Like anyone who's like, you know, been born in like an immigrant family, like it just, you know, like what hard work is like. My dad used to like have me like go out and like freaking like with not even like a lawnmower, like he would like have me
scissors
with like the fucking no, like a hoe, or is that what it's called? Like a manual, like, yeah, because he wanted to like instill in me like the value of like hard work.
Nice.
My first job, I don't know if you know this, was like at a warehouse. It was like before I started college. I was like fucking like doing like the tape, like, you know, the tape, you put that with like a tape gun, and I would just do that like literally like for 8 hours, made $1,000 less.
Nice.
So yeah, it's like from like the beginning, I think that like helps a lot, is just like having like that instilling of like hard work. I'm also like not from like the best like neighborhood, so it's like I'm from like this place called South Central, if you've ever heard of it, and it's like, yeah, not so like
cute
great.
Boys in the hood.
So it's like, yeah, bro. It's like you grow up in like a spot like that. Like I feel, just my own theory is like you either like come out like better for it, or like the environment affects you and like you come out like not so great. Like every person that like I know from there, it's like they're not like in the greatest spot or where they would like to be. And it's like, I also know people that came from like that neighborhood, and it's like some of like the top like freaking like football players, like entrepreneurs that come from it. So I think that probably, if there was an advantage from childhood, it'd probably be that for sure.
Yeah, I mean, people are driven by pain or pleasure, like the pleasure to make money, the pleasure to grow as a business person. For me, it was like my drive comes from pain, like divorced parents. Like I remember going to the bank with my mom when I was like 13 to cash out bonds that my grandpa left for me because she was so broke, and we got evicted. Like my brother was addicted to drugs. I was just with my dad all weekend, and all he talked about was freaking money and how he has no money.
Yeah.
So like hearing all that stuff, and Sabrina, my wife, like she's with me on this too, and it's like I don't want to have to like do that, and I don't want to have to get evicted. I don't want to have to even like worry about that sort of stuff. So that's what keeps me motivated, is not having to go back to what would be comfortable and what would be easy, which, I mean, when I was in high school, I was working as a commercial painter and wanted to be a cop and almost joined the military because I was like, oh yeah, this is what I want to do. So looking back, I think it's definitely the pain of what I don't want, which drives me for what I do want.
Yeah. I know for me, like I had probably like you experienced a similar thing. Like I would hear like my parents like arguing about money like all the time. Like my dad would constantly say, like if I wanted stuff, like so many things I wanted as a kid, and it's like, yeah, like no, we don't have enough money. Like a constant conversation. Like you could just even feel it like in like the house. When I remember, I would just feel it. It's just like that tension of just like, man, like bills. My dad would just be like with his glasses on, like just like paying bills, and I'd just be like, damn, bro, like I could feel the stress from him. So it's like, man, like I decided early on, like, dude, I'm gonna like, this is not good.